Okay, today we're going to look at surface area of cylinder. So this is going to wrap up our surface area of different shapes that we've been looking at. And so we're talking about cylinders today. Now, cylinders are just like prisms. The only difference is that their base shapes are circles, not polygons. So if we remember, prisms have an identical shape on the top and bottom. And so when we see our cylinder, we've got a circle on the top and the bottom. So you'll notice that the first half of our formula is exactly like that of our prism formula, 2 times that base area, which would be the area of a circle. And you'll notice right underneath, we've got that area of a circle formula. Now, where this gets a little trickier is the lateral area. The lateral area would be, again, that length of the center rectangle, so that purple distance, times the width of the rectangle. Now, that purple distance actually is the distance that would wrap around our circle. So that is the same as the circumference. Okay, so that's the circumference. And then the width is the height of our cylinder itself. So we're going to go ahead and use those ideas to practice finding some area of surface area of cylinders. So let's take a look at our first example. So we can see I've got the formula up there, and I wrote it with the area for the circle already in there and how we would find circumference. So if we remember back to earlier in the book, we did circumference was 2 pi r. And so that is this portion of our formula right here, 2 pi r. And so that's where that's coming from. And then, of course, we've got our height of our, we've got the height of our cylinder. So we'll go ahead and plug in some numbers and start solving. So when I'm looking at my cylinder, I start with that base shape, which is right here. So I've got 2 of those. I've got one on the top and one on the bottom. So we're going to find those areas. So I would have pi 3.14 times my radius. My radius is 4 squared. Okay. Then I'm going to add that to that lateral area. Remember, that lateral area is this area around our shape. And we'll remember the formula for that is 2 pi r. Remember, that's the circumference. So 2 times pi, 3.14, times r, 4. And then we're multiplying that by the height of our cylinder, which is right here. So times 6. So now we can go ahead and grab our calculator to help us with the arithmetic, because the numbers are going to get a little bit tricky here. So don't forget, when you're typing this into your calculator, make sure you do that exponent first. So you should be typing in 4 times 3.14 times 2. You can do all of that multiplication in one step. So then we end up with 100.48 plus, now we're looking at that lateral area. And again, I'm going to type all of that into my calculator. 2 times 3.14 times 4 times 6, and that gives me 150.72. And so my total surface area, all I need to do is add those 2 numbers together, and I get a surface area of 251.2 square inches. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at one more example, just in case, that made sense, but we need just a little bit more explanation on that, because sometimes circles in particular give us a hard time. So we'll go ahead and look at one more example. So here's another cylinder. Same idea, we're going to start with our formula. And just as a reminder again, that first part of our formula is the base, And the reason that there's a 2 is because we have a base on the top and a base on the bottom. So we'll go ahead and plug in some numbers there. So we have 2 times 3.14 times our radius, which in this case, because it's only going halfway across, is 15 squared. Then we want to look at our lateral area, which again is that area around the shape, kind of like where the label on a soup can would be. And so the first thing we're looking at is the circumference. So that's where we get the 2 times pi, 3.14, times the radius. Remember that part is the circumference. And then we'd be multiplying that by the height of our pyramid or our prism, cylinder in this case, which is 3. So now we can go ahead and just do the multiplication. So again, don't forget, you always want to start with that exponent, 15 times 15, into your calculator, times 3.14 times 2. And we get 1,413. Then we're going to add that to our lateral area. Again, lateral area is where that label on our soup can would be. And so we're going to multiply 3.14 times 2 times 15 times 3. And that gives us 282.6. And then finally, we just need to add those two things together, those two areas together. And our total surface area is 1,695.6. And our units are square centimeters.